Hey, everybody, welcome to LettermenRow.com. I am Jeremy Birmingham. I am your host for Birminology as usual. This week, we are sticking in Ohio to the class of 2023 and welcoming in Huber Heights Wayne High School offensive lineman, wrestler, supreme, Josh Padilla. Josh, thanks for taking time to step on the show. I know you just got home from track practice a little bit ago. Wrestling season's over. Football camps are in the midst of happening. You are a busy guy.
Yep, I am.
How do you keep yourself from going crazy? I mean, is it, do you ever get time to just be a teenager who goes and does teenage things?
Well, if I have time, I'll probably go fishing here and there, and then I'll probably just go out with some friends, do like some activities and stuff, just hang out with people.
What's the largest fish you've ever caught, Josh?
Largest. Oh, I bass fish. So the largest fish I caught was, I'm pretty sure it was 5.4 pounds. It's a pretty big fish.
That is a big bass. That's a
Oh
big
yeah.
old, a big old bass.
I thought it
Um,
was snagged at first, and then I was reeling it in, and I realized it was a fish.
well, I mean, I'm sure that was exciting.
Oh
You've become kind of a big fish, Josh,
yeah.
in the world of college football recruiting. That's what we call a terrific segue, by the way. I mean, obviously, this is all just off the cuff. People think this stuff was planned, but oh no, that was terrific segue. Um, what's the last 2 months been like for you? I mean, you start to kind of emerge as a nationally known recruit. You get an offer from Ohio State super early. You get an offer from Notre Dame a couple weeks after that. I mean,
Yes.
as an offensive lineman in the Midwest, you don't really get bigger offers than Ohio State and Notre Dame in a 3 week span. I mean, how did those opportunities hit you? Were you surprised? Were you like expecting it? How does it feel?
It felt great, knowing that all this hard work pays off. But I was like super surprised. I didn't know any of this would come super early to me as like a sophomore. I thought it would come like later in my junior season. Like after my junior season, I felt like this would come, but it just came early, and it's like super surprising to me because not a lot of athletes experience this, and it's great to be one of the athletes that experiences this.
You've been elevated now. You're the number 6 ranked offensive guard in the country in your class. You are teammates with an Ohio State offer on the other side of the offensive line at Wayne High School, Emil Wagner. How is how has having Emil around helped you understand maybe what to expect with the recruiting stuff? Because I know Wayne High School, you guys always have big time players going through there. It's the home of Braxton Miller, Marcus Freeman, in recent years, Robert Landers, his brother. You guys always have big time guys going through the school, but you have one directly on the other side of the offensive line. How does that help you?
It just helps me a lot. Like I asked Emil like a lot of questions about recruiting, like what I can do and what I can't do, and he just informs me. And it's like it's good to have someone like Emil because he's like real technical with it, and he'll walk me through the processes of like what to do and what not to do and stuff like that.
As an offensive lineman in high school, you're playing tackle. You are certainly almost going to be a guard in college. Are
Mhm.
you comfortable with that transition? I mean, I know at the Under Armour camp in Columbus on Sunday, you were working on the interior of the line. Is that the first time you've done that? And how do you feel like you've responded?
I played guard my seventh and eighth grade year, and then I transitioned to tackle my freshman year. So I'm pretty used to it. And then I went to the Best in Midwest camp. I played guard and center there too, so I was pretty used to it.
That sort of versatility, I'm sure that Greg Studrara, the Ohio State offensive line coach, has mentioned that that's one of the things they really look for in young offensive linemen is someone that can play multiple positions. As this relationship with Ohio State is starting to blossom, what else have you picked up from Coach Studrara, from Coach Wilson, the guys that are recruiting you at Ohio State? What's been their primary message for you?
The primary message is once I got the MVP, Coach Wilson called me and congratulated me and said like, "You just keep grinding, just keep doing what you're doing, just keep striving to achieve more and more." And Coach Stud, I was watching the practice film basically, and he's just like all technical. He teaches very good technique.
Did you expect, I mean, to going into that Under Armour camp this past Sunday, like I said, you did walk out of there as the offensive line MVP. Were you surprised? I mean, you were in a camp there with a couple of
Yeah.
big time talents like Caden Proctor, who's the number 2 ranked offensive lineman in the country. How important is it for someone like you, who again is sort of new to the recruiting world, to know that you belong in that conversation? How important is it to feel like, hey, you know what, maybe I actually am this good?
Yeah, I was like surprised because like I realized that like I was one of the top talents there, and then like everything came to me. I was like, I'm probably one of the best here. So I started like going out super hard in drills basically and stuff like that.
You are a wrestler. I don't want to say you're a wrestler at heart. I don't know if you prefer wrestling or football, but I know that wrestling is certainly something that you have to love to do it.
Mhm.
How has that helped you prepare as a football player? And why do you think that college coaches especially are looking for wrestlers along the offensive line?
I feel like colleges look for wrestlers because their like mentality and like the discipline they carry for like the one-on-one drills to like they know they can dominate people. Like a great wrestler can just dominate anyone, and that can translate over to a football field for like one-on-ones or like run blocking. Like you're in the outside zone, you could just translate to that, so you like know that the offensive lineman is dominant.
Josh, do you prefer to be called Josh or Joshua? Because your
Josh.
profiles still say Joshua, and
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
my
know.
real name, but everyone calls me Josh.
Do you find yourself having a difficult time separating the part of you that's an Ohio State fan from now being a recruit? Because you're not shy to admit that you grew up a Buckeyes fan. I mean, how has that impacted your recruitment?
Well, I gotta look at it like I gotta look at every school, take a look at every school. Just knowing I'm an Ohio State fan, like when growing up, like now I'm in the recruiting process is like a big change because you gotta look at other schools. You can't just like focus on one and build relationships. Like you gotta keep building relationships with like every other school that offers you.
Has it been hard not to like? I think the expectation for a lot of people is when kids like yourself, who are admitted Buckeyes fans, you grew up in Ohio, you get an offer that early, that people sort of anticipate that, oh, he's just going to commit right away. How
Mhm.
hard has it been to wait yourself out and to make sure that you go through the process the right way?
Just my coaches and family, they just tell me to just go through the process. Don't just like commit to one school. Just keep looking around, see what like coaches you can see their like see and doing basically the like see what they're like, their personalities and basically stuff like that.
Aside from all the clothes that are in your closet that probably have a Blocko on it or say Ohio State, like what are you looking for in a program that somewhere else would have to get you to give away all that stuff?
In a program, I feel like I just want to feel the most comfortable at. Like wherever I'm comfortable, that's probably the place I would go to. And like the relationships with the coaches, that's probably one of the biggest things too in the facilities.
Do you have like friends and family members that are already asking you for, like, if you happen to choose a different school, that are asking for all your Ohio State stuff?
No, not yet.
You have not been able to do much as a recruit, right? I mean, you haven't been able to take visits anywhere for the last year. There is at least a little like silver lining. I think people are expecting that June is going to open up the recruiting visits. Where are you going? Like, what do you know for sure you are going to be doing once you're allowed to make visits?
So this week I'm going to the Ohio State scrimmage on Saturday, and then I was talking to Coach Wilson. He said having me down there like when the 2022s are down there, so I possibly could go down there during that time. And then I'm
That's
pretty
the
sure.
June. That's the June 4th weekend, right?
Yeah,
After everything. So this weekend you're going to the spring game, but you're going to be there just watching as a fan.
yep. And then I might probably going down there in like around like June 4th and June 6th, around one of those days. I'm probably gonna go down there. And then I plan to go to Notre Dame on I think it's June 8th. I'm pretty sure that's
Okay.
the day I'm going there. And those are the only ones I plan right now.
Do you feel like, I mean, if you're being somewhat sincere or honest with yourself, does this feel like it shapes up as an Ohio State Notre Dame early battle? Or are there other schools that you're still like, hey, I'd really like to hear from school X, Y, and Z?
Um, I feel like just like basically those are like the two schools that like stick out to me the most like at the moment. But I feel like there could be a couple more schools that could come in and like challenge other schools in the conference.
I think that a lot of people make an assumption that Emil has the same two schools, that he's really battling back and forth between Ohio State and Notre Dame. How much do you guys talk about playing together at the next level? How much of a conversation is there about this is what this coach is telling me. This is what he's telling you. I mean, is there a lot of comparing notes?
Yeah, I submit a lot like what some of the coaches say, and like if they ask, like he told me like the Notre Dame coach said about like talked about him playing left tackle, me playing left guard. He mentioned that to me a couple weeks ago, and that's probably one of the only things he said basically.
Is there an offensive lineman that you've watched in the last handful of years that you feel like you emulate a little bit, or that you can see a little bit of your game in?
I watched my freshman year going to my sophomore year. I was just watching around YouTube, and I watched Quentin Nelson. I watched how he like hit the hip. That I try to emulate that in my game, and then I watched Josh Myers senior film, and I watched how like he could pull through and just go through the line, like run downfield and get blocks. And that's one of my main things I was trying to do this year.
Right now, your profiles list you at, I think, like 6'4", 265. Do you feel like you're going to get taller? Is there any sort of expectation from doctors about, hey, you might end up at 6'6", or what do you want your body to do by the time you get to high school or to college, knowing that you have 2 years of high school left?
Yeah, my doctor told me I could possibly grow to 6'5" to 6'6". So, and then probably around like 290 my senior year. But those are just assumptions, so you never know. But I hope to be about 6'4", 6'5".
Does wrestling and track make it harder for you to put on that extra weight, or I mean, are you finding it easy to get the calories you need to start really growing the way that colleges are hoping you do?
I feel like during wrestling it's kind of hard because it's like I probably lose about 6 to 7 pounds in practice, just like going super hard. But in track, I usually don't lose a lot of weight, so I can easily like bulk up during track season.
What do you think is more helpful for you with balance? Is it wrestling, or is it throwing and track?
I feel like wrestling is. It just works on your footwork. It works on basically like your leverage and like what you do. Like you can basically predict things, like predict moves, like people's movements and stuff like that.
I don't want to keep it too much longer, Josh. I told you I'd try to keep you in a certain window of time, but from in these first couple weeks since you got the Ohio State offer, what have you really picked up from Greg Studrara as far as him as a person? What do you like about the relationship that you guys have developing?
I feel like he's just like a down to earth person. Like he's super. Like I feel like I'm comfortable with him. Basically, he like jokes around with me. I love when coaches do that to me. It makes me think that like they're acting themselves, not just being one of those like coaches that like, oh, we want you to come here because like we want you basically.
Most every single offensive lineman that I've ever spoken to on this show or off the record or that has gotten to know Coach Studrara has a impression of him that they do. And voice wise, I will wait to ask you to do that until down the road if you end up in the Ohio State class, because I don't want to get you put you on the spot. But in an ideal world, Josh, when do you see this recruitment? Offensive linemen, a lot of times you guys make decisions a lot earlier than other positions. Do you have a timeline that you're like, hey, I think I'd be okay if this was over by X date?
I'd say probably after I like take my official visits like next year. That's probably after that I'll probably make my decision.
Do you anticipate doing like the spring official visit tour, or are you going to be a guy that wants to go and do it during the season?
I think maybe both. I don't really know yet.
Just gotta play it out. A lot of ways to go.
Yep.
I will let you get out of here on that note. That's Josh Padilla. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. He is a big-time fisherman and a big-time catch for any college program in the next couple of years. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back in a few days with someone else.